feel crazy. I feel crazy. I feel crazy. I feel crazy. Hey, Amelia. I'm out of practice. I haven't filmed in like a million years. I graduated. Woo! Congratulations to me. And we're also so close to 50,000 subscribers. Super cool, super crazy. Graduated life is treating me great. Thank you so much for asking. It's super boring. I've been in school my entire life. Now for the past 2 weeks, I've had quite literally nothing to do. So I've been reading a lot. This is my newest victim, MODELLAND by Tyra Banks. I started and finished this book yesterday, and it's not short. It's like 600 pages almost. So that was a big undertaking. I would not recommend it. I felt like my brain was turning into mush. This book is absolutely not worth your time. However, I don't think that I can physically encapsulate into words how insane this book is. Genuinely one of the worst books I've ever read, and I've read a lot of pretty bad books. Anyway, let's get frickin' started, shall we? It opens with this narrator voice. It's italicized. I don't think we ever learn who the narrator is. I just need you to understand the way that this book is written. So this is page 1, literally the first page. The land you thirst for has loomed at the top of the mountain in Metopia for as long as you can remember, but for most of the year it's covered in fog, its color changing with each passing day as if it's a gargantuan mood ring. You begin your morning staring at the fog, longing for the fateful evening when it will turn a golden yellow, and then finally, like a push-up brassiere, lift. That's the first page. That's the second paragraph. This is how Tyra Banks decided to open the book and introduce the world. It feels like it's satire. I don't know what it is satire of. So we meet our main character. Her name is Tookie de la Creme. I wish I was kidding. I'm absolutely not. Her name is Tookie. Tookie de la Creme. Whatever. Stop it. Okay. Taking the dust jacket off. It was not serving me. It was not sparking joy. The girl whose face not even the meanest person you know would describe as yuck, but who you'd never in a million, no, a trillion years describe as alluring either. The girl whose eyes were 3 centimeters too far apart, whose mouth is 4 centimeters wide. Not that you'd break out a ruler, but when you look it hurts enough to make you think something is definitely off. She's the girl whose hair has multiple personality disorder and can't decide if it's supposed to be quasi-curly, silky straight, frantic frizzy, or wet and wavy. Or maybe a power to the people fro. Excuse me? What? Okay, so Tookie goes to a school called, what's it called? The Bangle, Bauble, and Bead Institute, also known as B3. And it used to be a factory, and now it's a school. There's 3 things you need to know about Tookie right off the bat. Number 1. She is completely forgettable. She calls herself a forget-a-girl. Thing number 2 is she writes letters to people but never sends them, and she just writes them in her notebook, and it's called the T-Mail Jail or Tookie Mail Jail. Thing number 3, she loves whipped cream. This girl is eating whipped cream straight from the can. I would shit myself. Sorry, I'm lactose intolerant. I don't know what you want from me. And she also knows every single language. I guess there's 4 things. Tookie is at school, and she does these things called SPLDs. It's pronounced spilled, silent, lying down protest. And she just lies in the middle of the hallway and waits for someone to notice her. And nobody ever does because she is forgettable. So Tookie is also in love with a guy called Theophilus Lovelaces. He is the student body president. And he's the only person to have ever spoken to Tookie. And so she's like, I'm in love with you. However, Theophilus Lovelaces also has a girlfriend. And his girlfriend is named Zarpessa. Tookie also has a single friend. Her name is Lizzie. Lizzie has been missing for over 6 weeks, and no one's looking for her. We have to talk about the names in this book. They're wild. Miss Tyra will be like, all right, this is Tookie. This is Theophilus Lovelaces and his girlfriend Zarpessa. And this is Tookie's best friend, Lizzie. Lizzie? One of these things is not like the other. Tookie lives in Peppertown. Peppertown is the poor people quadrant of Metopia, which is, I think, a country. Metopia was split into 4 quadrants, each with its own weather system. There was frigid Shivera, tempestuous Pitter-Patter, lovely Ladorno. Only the elite lived there, and it was where TDOD was always held. We'll talk about it. And finally, sweltering Peppertown, as hot as, you guessed it, a Scotch bonnet. This is where Tookie lived and where B3 stood. TDOD, let's talk about it. Metopia is at the base of a mountain, and on top of the mountain is a place called MODELLAND. MODELLAND is like a school for models, I think. It's like a school for models. Every year there is what's called the Day of Discovery, or TDOD, because something about Tyra Banks in this book is she will make an acronym for something, doesn't matter what it is. On TDOD, like some scouts come down from MODELLAND and they pick a bunch of girls to study at MODELLAND and train to become one of the 7 sevens. When I say 7-7, it's number 7, word 7, 7 sevens. It's so stupid. There are only 7 of them, as you may have guessed. They have superpowers. The 7 sevens become intoxibellas, which is just, I think, the MODELLAND word for supermodels, and they're like the only celebrities, because also I think Tyra Banks hates actresses, because throughout the entire book she's like, we're models. We're not like actors, stupid and dumb actresses. Ew, we're actual models and we're actual famous people. In this book, the only celebrities that exist are the intoxibellas. Every so often, someone who graduates from MODELLAND is called a 777. This is someone who has all of the powers of the 7-7, and she's like the main intoxibella. The most recent 777 was a girl called CL, spelled C-I squiggle dash L, but CL disappeared a couple of months ago. Everyone's like, where the hell is CL? Where did she go? No one knows. I feel crazy. We're just getting started. At the Day of Discovery, all the girlies want to get chosen. This is the only way you can make it to MODELLAND, right? You can't like apply, you just have to get chosen. Now there's one way to increase your chances of getting chosen, and that is to get something called a smize. There are 7 smizes, and they're like Willy Wonka's golden tickets. If you find one, you're gonna have a 91% chance of being chosen to be a MODELLAND girly. The smizes are usually found in like the sewer system. During the like weeks leading up to the Day of Discovery, everyone keeps their taps on in hopes of finding the smizes. The Day of Discovery is coming up, and everyone is super excited, except for Tookie, because remember, she's so fucking ugly. She's just like the ugliest person in the whole wide world, I guess. Her image swam into the reflection and she winced. She still had that 6 head, a slightly too small, weak chin, and the multiple personality disorder hair, and the woolly caterpillar eyebrows. Her eyes still spread wide like the antelope's. One the color of dirt, and the other the color of snot. So essentially, Tookie is Megamind. She has a big ass forehead and a teeny tiny little itty bitty chin. She also has eyes that are 2 different colors. That's like a bad thing. Tookie starts to walk home from school, and she stops by her friend Lizzie's tree, because Lizzie is homeless. So she had disappeared, right? And she's back. Woo, yay, Lizzie's back. Lizzie tells Tookie that Zarpessa, Theophilus' girlfriend, is also homeless, and she has to dumpster dive for food. And this is a big deal because Zarpessa pretends to be super rich. And everyone's like, she's wealthy, her family's wealthy, she has everything. Turns out she doesn't. She's actually super poor. Lizzie is also severely mentally ill, which brings me to, without a doubt, the most concerning and upsetting part of this book. There's a lot of self-harm. Books can have characters who are struggling with mental illness. This was not the book to do it. I don't know why Tyra tried, but it makes me really, really uncomfortable. I'm not going to talk about it anymore because it's like genuinely upsetting. Just know that it's not an insignificant part of the book. It is there. So after the pit stop at Lizzie's tree, Tookie goes home. Now let's talk about Tookie's family. Tookie has a mom. Her name is Creamy de la Creme. I'm so serious right now. Creamy de la Creme. Creamy looks really old, but like just her face. Like the rest of her body seems young, but her face is really old. And though her body and soft, lineless, tan-skinned hands were remarkably well preserved, her face was a different story. Thick makeup clumped heavily into permanent lines on and around her mouth. Deep crow's feet fanned out from the corner of her eyes, all the way to her ears. Even her nose was covered in wrinkles. She cares a lot about her appearance. She looks super old. She also always carries a baby doll with her, and she also loves gherkin pickles. Now, you already know how I feel about gherkin pickles. They're nasty and gross, and dill pickles are the only valid type of pickles. Argue with the wall. Tookie also has a younger sister. Her name is Miracle, spelled Myrracle. Miracle. I'm literally fighting for my life right now. Miracle loves to dance, and she's really pretty, and Creamy really wants her to be chosen at the day of discovery. Miracle is younger than Tookie. Even though she was 13 and Tookie was 15, she was more womanly than Tookie in every way. She developed faster, getting her period earlier that year. Tookie still hadn't gotten hers yet. Tookie also has a dad. The dad's name is Chris Kremkrabat, and he was like a famous acrobat, and then he lost his eye in an acrobat performance. He was performing for Circus del Sol. So they're all at home, and they're running the taps because they want to find a smize. Guess what pops out of one of their freaking taps? That's right, a goddamn smize. Slay. Everyone's super excited. They're like, oh my god, Miracle's gonna get chosen. The next day, Creamy and Tookie and Miracle go to Ladorno, which is the rich sector of Metopia, to find a dress for Miracle during the day of discovery. And all of a sudden, the smoke clears from the mountain. It is the 7 Sevens ceremony. They're going to introduce all of the 7 Sevens into the world, and it's very exciting. So the 7 Sevens are introduced to the world by Belladonna, or the Belladonna, sorry, it's a title, not a name, apparently. And the Belladonna is like the queen of MODELLAND, which makes me think maybe MODELLAND is like a country. She introduces the 7 Sevens. They all have powers, they all have names, the names are stupid. The last of the 7 Sevens to get introduced is called Exodus. This reminds Tookie, she and Lizzie were going to plan a mass escape. They called it their Exodus. Tookie is like, this is a sign. We should go tonight. Great idea, because people are going to be distracted by the day of discovery. It's a great time to run away. So while they're still in Ladorno, Tookie runs into a homeless guy. He's called Wingtip, and Creamy is like, ew, don't look at him. He's disgusting and gross and homeless and poor, and we don't associate with people like that. Tookie is like, hey, wait a second, let's hear him out. Wingtip tells Tookie, everyone is entitled to dream, even you. And that kind of sticks with her, right? And that's the last confirmation that she needs that she's absolutely making the right choice by running away tonight. That night, Tookie overhears her parents talking. Her dad is like, Tookie is so ugly. There's no way she's my daughter. And he whips out Tookie's toothbrush, and he's like, as soon as we drop Miracle off at the day of discovery, I'm gonna go and get this toothbrush paternity tested, and I'm gonna know for sure Tookie is not my daughter. And Tookie is crushed because she liked her dad. Creamy, her mom is awful, but she was like, yeah, me and my dad were kind of close. So her and Lizzie decide that they are going to run away the next morning at 7 a.m. And the next day, the morning that they decide to run away, is the day of discovery. Tookie packs up a bag, and right when she's about to step foot out of her door, her parents are like, oh my god, you already packed your bag. Perfect. Let's go. We're ready for the day of discovery. I have so many questions, but mainly, why would you plan your great escape in the morning when you know you have to be somewhere? Girl, run away at night. It's so... Sorry, there was a hair in my mouth. Tookie's not able to run away with Lizzie because she ends up having to go to the day of discovery. The De La Creme fam gets to the square at Ladorno, and they start setting up. There are 3 obelisks at the bottom of the MODELLAND mountain. One is super tall and white, and one is short and fat, and one is really little. They just appeared one day 6 months ago. Nobody knows where they're from. It becomes important later, so just keep those in your brain. So the day of discovery starts. How it works is every girl has to walk, runway walk, and then scouts will come down and decide who they want. And this happens everywhere, not just in Ladorno, right? So every girl from every country in the world is walking to try to get noticed by the scouts. And if you're not walking, you're not going to get picked. Also, remember, Miracle has a smize, which, okay, quick side note, quick tangent. It is never really stated what a smize is. So I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be picturing when they're talking about the smize. She has a smize. It's a physical, tangible thing, but I don't know what it is. Anyway, Miracle has a smize, which means she has a 91% chance of getting chosen. So a few girls get chosen by the scout, and then the scout comes towards the De La Creme family. Creamy is like, oh my gosh, yes, Miracle is getting chosen. But then the scout comes up to Tookie. She's offering her hand. She's like, come to MODELLAND. Tookie's like, but I'm so ugly. How? I couldn't possibly go to MODELLAND. This must be some mistake. You're coming for my sister? Creamy is trying to body check Tookie out of the way so that Miracle gets chosen, but the scout picked Tookie. And Tookie's like, yes, I'll go to MODELLAND. So she gets scooped up into this pouch. The scout starts flying away. On their way to MODELLAND, they make 3 pit stops to pick up 3 other girls who got chosen for the day of discovery. Girl number 1 is called Dylan, and she is from a town called Boo Big Teak. Lord help me. Okay, Boo Big Teak is a store that is also a town. Dylan's thing is that she's not stick thin. She's described as having like a Coke bottle body, like Coke bottle curves. Her name tag said Dylan. Dylan was shaped like a bottle of Boo Big Teak cola and had a heart-shaped face. Her lips were full and naturally raspberry colored, and her lavender blue eyes sparkled. So she doesn't look like the typical kind of girly who gets chosen for the day of discovery. Dylan gets chosen. She goes into the same pouch that Tookie is in. So they're like chatting, they're bonding, they're besties. Next, they go to a country called Candelabra. The next person that they pick up is a girl called Shiraz. And they speak a language called Labrian there, which means for the rest of the book, this character speaks in like broken, unintelligible, non-grammatical English. This might just be a me thing. I don't think it is, but it might be. I despise when characters in books are written with accents phonetically. It just feels racist. I can't explain it. I don't know why, but it's the worst. And this entire character, that's basically her whole thing. Shiraz is also really short. She is 4'7". I cannot conceptualize how tall 4'7" is. So I Googled it. I was like, what is a celebrity who is 4'7"? And you know who came up? JonBenet Ramsey. JonBenet Ramsey is the celebrity that came up as being 4'7". Huh? I guess 4'7" is really short. So they've picked up Dylan, Tookie, Shiraz, and then the last girl that they pick up is called Piper, and she is from a country called Sans Color. Take a wild guess what the thing is about Sans Color. Everyone there has albinism. Every person, every animal, like canonically, they all have albinism. Piper is the daughter of the mayor. She has albinism like everyone else in this town. The natural predator of people from Sans Color, they're called La Guisarde, and they eat spleens. So the 4 of them are in this pouch. They're on their way to MODELLAND. The pouch is being carried by the scout. Piper from Sans Color is like, y'all are ugly. We're getting sacrificed. So apparently there is this rumor that every year they pick a couple real uggos to sacrifice them to the like gods of beauty so that all of the other graduates of MODELLAND end up beautiful. And they're looking around at this group of 4, and they're like, hey, none of us look like models, so what the hell do you think we're here for? We're the sacrifices, obviously. Tookie's like, I mean, I thought those were just rumors, but now she's getting scared. She's scared. They're like, we're gonna be killed. MODELLAND brings in 4 lesser girls to brutally experiment on them, and then sacrifice them to some sort of ancient, gorgeous goddess or something. So that's not good. And just right after they've made this discovery, they get dropped off in MODELLAND. The scout drops them off and then leaves. And this guy hustles in, and he's called Guru Aplace. He's like, oh my god, y'all are early. I love people who are punctual. This is great. Hello, mademoiselle. Je m'appelle Guru Aplace, the head of the couture department, the creature said in a thick, très jolie accent, smiling with a broad mouthful of perfectly straight white teeth. I am beyond excité. You have arrived early. Your lack of tardiness deserves a round of applause, oui. Fun fact about me, I am a citizen of the great country of Canada. As a Canadian, I took French class all throughout high school. This is a mistake you only have to make once in French class before you know it forever. The word excité, it does not mean excited. If you go into Google Translate and you translate from English to French excited, it will tell you excité. It doesn't mean excited though. It means horny. So this guy just said that he's really horny that they're here early. And I think that that's beautiful. I think we should all just take a moment to appreciate that. So it turns out Guru Aplace thinks that he's like the head of all the seamstresses who build all the costumes for MODELLAND. And he thinks that these girls are seamstresses because they're so ugly. They couldn't possibly be the new models. And they're like, we're not. I don't know. We're sacrifices maybe? Just then, their scout pulls up. Guess who their scout is? CL, the missing 777. Oh, hang on a second. Like a plane? Like a Boeing 777? Aren't those the ones that, like, the doors were flying off of? What was the plane that the doors fell off? Oh, sorry. That was a Boeing 737 MAX 8. I am so afraid of flying. Boeing 777. Yep, it's a plane. Boeing 777. Anyway, their scout was CL. She was the missing 777 who disappeared. So she pulls up and she's like, these are not seamstresses. CL being a scout is a big deal because scouts are a lower rank than Intoxibellas. It's very rare that an Intoxibella gets demoted, especially a 777. Guru Aplace is like, CL, bestie, love this energy, but I need my seamstresses. And she's like, these aren't seamstresses, these are Bellas. Bellas is the name for students at MODELLAND, and the 4 girlies are like, hell yeah, we aren't human sacrifices, we're Bellas, this is delightful. This isn't entirely relevant to the plot, but it made me chuckle. CL is a legendary spoken word poetry slam champion. She's not like other girls, she's like a supermodel, but also has standards and morals and like believes in justice. And she's a slam poetry champion. So the girls pull up to the New Bellin check-in area, and guess who's also there? Zarpessa, Theophilus Lovelace's girlfriend, and also, remember, she was homeless. Tookie, Dylan, Shiraz, and Piper, they get a tour of MODELLAND. There's the M building, which is where the belladonna lives. It is explicitly forbidden. No one is allowed to go in there unless they are specifically invited. There's then also, it's called the O, where the orientation happens. There is Beautification Boulevard, which is where the classes are held. And then the Orb Arena, which is where Man Attack happens. Now, I will tell you about Man Attack later, okay? Because we have no extra information about Man Attack until it literally happens, and I would like you to have that same experience. Their tour guide also warns them about the catwalk corridor, which is really dangerous, but also just can appear out of nowhere, so you'll just be walking and then you'll be in catwalk corridor. Also, the ugly room, which is where you're sent if you do something really, really bad. It's just like full of mirrors that are just, they show you if you were really ugly. So all the girlies haul ass back to the O, which is where the belladonna welcomes them and tells them about the rules. She tells them through song. There's a wall surrounding MODELLAND. Past the wall is the, I don't know what it's called. It's called like the disastrous divide or something. If you leave past the wall, you'll turn old. One thing about this book, it hates old people. The worst thing that a woman can be, according to our Lord and Savior Tyra Banks, is old and fat, which is just like a great message to be sending. I'm very genuinely confused as to like what the target demographic of this book is, because it sends very harmful messages to children, and it also has a lot of like sort of not appropriate language for like a middle grade novel, or what I would usually expect from a young adult novel. But also there's no adult who would sit through this. I can't imagine an adult reading this and like enjoying it, you know? So I just don't know who this is for. It really feels like this is a book that wasn't meant to be read. It feels like the point of this book was so that Tyra Banks could say that she wrote a book. I don't think she expected people to read it because it doesn't feel like it should exist. Anyway, if you go past the wall, you turn old. If you do bad in your classes, you get kicked out. If you're like not really good, but like not bad enough to be kicked out, they keep you to be like a servant to the belladonna. They're called mannequins. It says second string bellas will opt for the silver scream, miming in the multiplex, so trite, so uncouth. The belladonna can't stand actresses. She says they're pitiful MODELLAND rejects who just want any kind of spotlight. Like, girl, what do you have against actors? Be honest, they're not that bad. So those are like the options of things that can happen. Now, the first challenge to like weed out the people who aren't super serious about this is called the THBC, which stands for Thigh High Boot Camp. During Thigh High Boot Camp, the girls are allowed to take themselves out. There's a door that says home. If you can't stand the Thigh High Boot Camp, you just like walk through the door and you just go home. But you can never come back. You're like saying goodbye to MODELLAND forever and ever. They get their measurements taken. Next, they get their makeup done from a communal makeup cart. After they get their makeup done, their faces turn super nasty. It's like actually disgusting. So their faces start getting gross. A bunch of Bellas decide to leave because they look too ugly. But Tookie is like, you guys, this isn't real. Turns out it wasn't real. And the major life lesson that they learned from this is to not share makeup products or else you'll die. Shared utensils give you creepy conjunctivitis, gory gangrene, bubonic boils, atrocious abscesses, styes, and staphylococcus. So from this moment on, you have my personal permission to be stingy, selfish wenches when it comes to your maquillage. The next phase, they get a bunch of accessories and all the girls are like, woo, handbags, yay! And they are like rifling through this little bin and they're like taking out necklaces and shoes and handbags, and these accessories start to like strangle them and kill them. The next life lesson is like, don't fuck with with counterfeits because it's literally the worst thing you can do is steal from a designer. It's worse than murder, essentially. A bunch of people take themselves out and they're like, I'd rather be at home right now, which is so fair. I don't think I'd make it past the gross face. I couldn't do it. The last step of THBC is basically they get lobotomized, essentially. There's a massive needle and it just like sticks into their brain. They don't like actually get lobotomized because it doesn't do anything to them, but like there's a needle in their skull and I'm pretty sure that's what a lobotomy is. After Thigh High Boot Camp, they meet back up with their tour guide and she shows them the D, which is dead ass what they call the dormitories. They call it the D. So it's 4 girls to a room, and in Tookie's room, it's her, Zarpessa, Shiraz, and this girl called Camelini. Camelini confesses to the group that she has a really bad addiction. The drugs, Shiraz jumped in. No, not drugs, Camelini said. The whiskey, Shiraz guessed again. I no judge you, I just want to help. No, not alcohol either. Worse, this. She held up her headbanger. It's like headphones. Shiraz squinted. You're addicted to music? She lowers her eyes. It eases the pain. Helps me forget. It's hard for me to be without it. I get withdrawal symptoms. She has some demons that she's working through, and the only way that she can cope with them is to listen to music. Which, honestly, she's so real for that. The girls are allowed to keep 2 personal items. During the first night, Tookie does some sleepwalking, and she sees CL, and CL is like freaking out. The figure reached up to the obscure obelisks, its hands flailing as if the figure was blind and elderly and desperately trying to connect with an unseen face. Hands clawed at the photo, and the figure started to beat its forehead against it. Then came a wail, so deep, so guttural, so agonizing. It's CL, and CL's freaking out. The next day, it's the first day of classes. Every girl has something called a centura, and it is like a yellow belt, and it gives them access to the power that they already have. So apparently every person has powers. The centura is what helps them access it, and then only the people with the best power get to be 7/7s. Also, all the girls wake up in the morning, and they all have their period. And this is a big deal for Tookie because she's never had her period before. And apparently the reason for this is because they want to teach the girls how to show up no matter what's going on in their lives. And so like even if they feel sick, even if they are having just like the worst period cramps, they still have to show up and be a model. That's like what modeling's all about. The first class is the face class, and they have to look at photos and they have to like make the face that's opposite to what they see in the photo. So if it's like a grotesque photo, they have to be like, woo, that's so cool. And if it's like a really happy photo of like a kitten, they have to be like somber and sad. Of course, Tookie is so bad at this, and Zarpessa is slaying. Zarpessa is so good at everything. It's coming naturally to her. It's like, wow, she's about to be a model. After the first class, the belladonna comes in and she announces, this cycle you had this morning will be your last period you will ever have for the rest of your lives. We want no excuses for you missing class or shoots or shows, so MODELLAND is ridding you of the pain and suffering of your menstrual cycle and cramps forever. You will still have the ability to procreate as you reach adulthood, but no more periods. Period. Tookie's a little sad because she's like, oh, I just got my first period. Like, I kind of wanted to, like, experience this. Take it, girl. Take the win. The next class is runway walking class. The same deal as the face class. Zarpessa is amazing at it. She's a natural. And Tookie just like crashes and burns. Like she is the worst at everything. And it's like honestly shocking because she has her little centura on, but she's not good. It's not working. Turns out the reason why Tookie is so bad at everything is because Zarpessa's personal item was a yellow dress. She cut up her yellow dress and she replaced Tookie's centura with just like a scrap of normal fabric. That's why it's not working. Tookie goes back to her dorm and she finds her real centura and she like puts it on. Anyway, so she starts getting better at things, but like just marginally. She's still pretty bad. The reason why Zarpessa is like out to get Tookie is because she is convinced that Tookie is going to tell everybody that she's homeless and poor. And Tookie's like, no girl, I'm above that. I'm not going to tell him anything. But Zarpessa is like, I would, so I don't see why you wouldn't. So the next class they have is like eating class. Not like eating like serving, but like eating like consuming food. It's really bad. So basically their teacher is Australian. What happens in eating class is these girls haven't been able to eat since they got to MODELLAND. So it's been like over a day. Their teacher comes up to them and is like psychics what their favorite food is. She's like, oh, your favorite food is whipped cream, Tookie. And Tookie's like, oh my God, it is. It literally is my favorite food. She like gives them all their favorite foods. And she's like, go nuts, girls. Gorge yourselves. Eat as much as you want. So these girls who haven't, hello, excuse you? So the girls are like, oh my God, hell yeah. So they like stuff their faces. Zarpessa is like, let me at it. Like I'm gonna eat. And her favorite food is garbage, apparently. Tookie's favorite food is whipped cream. So she's eating as much whipped cream as she can physically hold. There's also identical quadruplets called the Likey sisters. Their favorite food is sucking on a mint. Identical twins, triplets, and God forbid quadruplets, I don't trust them. They're freakish. Afterward, the teacher goes down the line and is like, she labels everyone who ate too much as a gut jammer. And then she lectures them all about how models have to eat balanced and models can't restrict themselves, but they also can't overindulge. They have to eat healthy and they have to eat enough and they have to listen to their bodies and stop when they're full. It's really quite fucked up, actually. They've forbidden these girls from eating for a full day. And then they're like, eat as much as you want, no consequences. And then she's like this, you guys are fat. You fatty, you fatties. In MODELLAND, the worst thing a person can be is fat. After their eating class, they get shown the cafeteria, which is the E building. Now, if you're keeping track, we have the M building and the M Plaza, which is where the belladonna lives. There's the O, which is where orientation was. The D, which is where the dorms are. And then there's E, the cafeteria. That's like the first 4 letters of MODELLAND. So you would probably think, wow, the next building that we're going to see is going to be in the shape of an L, right? Wrong. Tyra likes to keep us on our toes. The next building is called the Ooh-Ah building. There goes her naming conventions. She just went way off the rails with that one. In the Ooh-Ah, there are these girls called the flashback females, and they can show you, like, any memory of your entire life. Even if you don't personally remember it, they can, reveal memories to you, but it has to be a memory that you personally experienced. The catch is everyone who is in the room with you witnesses that flashback. The little group of girlies who goes into the flashback room this time, it is Tookie, Dylan, and Camelini. So the first person who goes is Camelini, and she's like, you guys, like, just don't judge me, please. Like, I'm normal. Please don't judge me. And they're like, no, girl, like, we're supportive. It doesn't matter. Like, we're going to support you anyway. She goes into her flashback. It goes to her house, and turns out she is filthy rich. And Camelini feels really guilty about being rich because she lives in a country with a lot of poverty. And so, like, right outside of her house, there's literally, like, starving children. And then she's living in luxury. So she decides to try to, like, help some people who were impoverished, and so she gets them a job as actors on her mom's set. The movie isn't filming in their country, it's filming in a different country. So they go to this different country, this like family, this really poor family, and they're like gonna make a lot of money in this movie. The cameras, they're like rolling action. There's like a rain machine, and the rain machine falls on this family and kills them. And Camelini feels responsible, and she's like, I killed these people. I'm like, girl, you didn't kill them. Yes, it was your idea for them to do this movie, but you didn't kill them. So that's Camelini's traumatic flashback. The next one who goes into the flashback is Dylan. During Dylan's flashback, she watches her dad die right in front of her. And then the last person to go is Tookie, and she's like, I don't want to go. I don't know what to ask to see. She asks the flashback females to show her a good memory from her life. Any good memory, because she's like, my life has been awful and ass, and my parents hate me, and so I'd like to see something good. They show her a good memory from her life, and it's from when she was like a little baby, and she was a really cute baby. She didn't get ugly until she was older, and her parents were like, oh my god, we love you so much. So MODELLAND is at the top of a mountain, right? A lot of people try to climb to the top of the mountain to get to MODELLAND, and then they get the pilgrim plague, and they literally die. Creamy and Miracle are crazy, so they decide to climb up to the top of the mountain to get Miracle to MODELLAND. Also, 3 months have passed. So Tookie meets a boy, and his name is Bravo, and he's a bestostero. MODELLAND is for girls. It's for the girly pops. And the girly pops have powers, and they can become supermodels, and it's great. Bestostero is a school for boys. They don't have special powers. They're just like normal, mortal boys, but they're just like extremely hot and sexy. They're like the sexiest, hottest, sexiest boys. Right? Tookie meets Bravo, and he's a bestostero, and she's like, ugh, he probably hates me because I'm so ugly, and I'm in love with Theophilus Lovelace, of course, so I can't cheat on him, even though, baby, you're not together. She's so me, though. That is so... I don't want to talk about it. I actually don't want to talk about it right now. The first time she meets him, she accidentally sucks his thumb. Tyra, I just have a question. Girl, what the fuck? I regret reading this book. This is all I did yesterday was read this. What a good use of my time. Later on, the Bellas have a debate class. CL is dropped into their debate class by Persimmon, who is the Belladonna's assistant. She's like, CL has been demoted back to first year because she keeps on disobeying the Belladonna's rules. CL has to debate. CL and Zarpessa against Tookie and Dylan. Their debate is pro or against traditional beauty standards. Zarpessa and CL are gorgeous girlies, and Dylan and Tookie are you know, kind of ugly. The professor assigns Ciel and Zarpessa to be anti-beauty standards and Tookie and Dylan to be pro-beauty standards. Tookie is like, she writes an open letter and she spills her heart and she talks about how like beauty standards are good actually and they're really important and it's good for people to be beautiful and some people are ugly and that's okay. Tookie's side wins the argument because her letter was so beautiful. Later that day, or I don't know, maybe it's a different day. Time has no meaning in MODELLAND, apparently, because, like, literally 3 months have passed. What? Tookie and Shiraz and Piper are living, laughing, and loving, and they walk right into the catwalk corridor. The best way I can describe to you the catwalk corridor is, did we all see Cats 2019? Idris Elba in the cat skin suit that's the exact same color as his skin, so it makes him look nude, it makes him look naked. Jason Derulo, like, gyrating in a cat costume, like, what? Anyway, so the catwalk corridor is like very much Cats. Like jellicles can angelicals do. 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 Sorry. Whoa. The catwalk corridor is where intoxibellas who have broken the rules, but like sort of like minor rules, they get sent there until they repent and get turned back into intoxibellas. In the catwalk corridor, the cat people are like, here, girl, do some drugs. Pop some pills with us. Tookie and Piper are like, no thank you, and they run away. Tookie gets a little cut on her lip, and also Zarpessa's in there for some reason, and her hands get mauled. And then they leave, whatever, they like run away out of the catwalk corridor. They go back to the D. I don't know where Zarpessa goes. I guess Zarpessa goes to the doctor. Tookie and Dylan and Shiraz and Piper are like, they're kind of arguing a little bit. They do like a team building exercise, which is where they talk about how much their life sucked before they came to MODELLAND. And everyone was like, yeah, like my parents hated me and my dad died. And then Tookie is like, yeah, and I wanted to kill myself. Huh? Tookie, what? And so Tookie reads them a letter from her journal where she's like, I just don't even see what the point of being alive is anymore. Like, I wish that I wish that I was dead. All of the other girls are like, wow, like, our life sucked, but we never wanted to kill ourselves. That's kind of crazy, Tookie. So Tookie's lip got busted in the catwalk corridor, and so Piper takes her to the doctor. So they're in the waiting room. And there's a girl called Desperada there, and she's like crying. She's like, my stomach hurts. And the doctor comes out and she's like, no, girl, your stomach doesn't hurt. Your heart hurts. And she's like, oh my God, I am sad. It's because I miss my boyfriend. And the doctor's like, okay. So Desperada's like, okay, great. I need to go back and see him. And everyone's like, no, girl, you can't leave. You're here now. Unfortunately, you're not allowed to leave. The doctor gives her a pep talk. She's like, you're more than like the man that you're in love with. So Desperada leaves, and then it's Tookie's turn at the doctor. The doctor gives Tookie some painkillers for her lip because they're gonna like stitch it up. The doctor leaves while the painkillers take effect, and then Bravo's there and he's like flirting with her. What happened to you, Tookie? Bravo asked. Just this morning, those lips of yours looked so good. And then the doctor comes back in and she's like, all right, stitch up your lips now. I'm gonna count back down from 10. When she wakes up, she doesn't know where she is. Turns out she's in the M building. And remember, that is super not allowed. So she tries to sneak out. And as she's sneaking out, she sees Ciel talking to the Belladonna. The Belladonna is scolding Ciel for like going rogue on the day of discovery. And she took 3 people who were not on the list and brought them to MODELLAND. Tookie is like, 3 people? But what about me? Turns out the Belladonna scratched a name off the list and added Tookie. What's that about? Ciel and Belladonna, they're talking about like experiments and sacrifices, and Tookie is like, they're gonna kill us. We have to escape. The 4 of them hatch a little plan. They also give themselves a cutie little name. They name their group the Unicas because they're unique looking. They're not like other girls. They look different and unique. And they're like, we have to escape. There's a secret zip zap, which is just like a portal that takes you from one place to another. And there's a secret zip zap under the 7-7 stadium. Now, the thing about this zip zap is apparently there's a 50% chance it'll take you to the Ladorno fountain in Ladorno Square. But the other 50% is that it will take you to the diabolical divide and then you will die. So they're like, well, I don't know if we should go through this secret zip zap because we might die. One of the girlies is like, what if we just jump over the wall? At least we know we'll survive, right? And everyone's like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. We got a plan, you guys. We're getting out of here. That night, an alarm goes off in the dormitories. Everyone has to evacuate. They watch. Sorry, I'm trying to be like a headband girly. I'm soft-launching the headband. But like, how do you keep them on your head? I feel like it's slipping. I feel like it's slipping off and it looks stupid. I've committed to it. It also matches the sock. My sister made that. Isn't it cool? It's got hearts on it. She made that. Can you believe it? They're all evacuating. While they're outside, Desperata goes to the wall and she jumps over. And she turns ugly and old. Desperata's body was unchanged, but dark brown spots covered her cheeks and forehead. Wrinkled jowls drooped on either side of her jaw, and deep lines ran from both sides of her nose to the sides of her mouth. Her skin was pale and crumpled, like a cotton t-shirt that had been rolled up into a ball. The outer corners of her eyes had branches of crow's feet leading off to her temples. Her hair had turned gray and thin and brittle, exposing parts of her scalp. And so everyone is witnessing this, and it's genuinely, it's like they witnessed someone dying a gruesome death. They're like, oh my god, oh no, she's old and ugly. And they make a memorial for her that's like, you're always young in our heart. I know this isn't like a radical thing to say. Why are we making women afraid of being old? It will happen to everybody. So after they see Desperata turn old and ugly and haggard, they're like, we can't do that. That's worse than death. But they decide they're going to escape during Man Attack. It's the night before Man Attack. Bravo sneaks into the D and tells Tookie about his whole life story. And he's like, everyone always wanted me and I was too hot and sexy and it made me feel sad. It made me feel lonely because I was so hot and sexy that people just wanted me so much. But I wanted architecture. He kept on being recruited for Bestostero, but he never wanted to go until his two biggest architect inspirations tried to go up the mountain to view the architecture of MODELLAND, and they died. Bravo was like, I have to see the MODELLAND architecture. If my heroes died to see it, I have to see it. He says yes to going to Bestostero, and now he's here. And he's like, and now I'm in love with you. And she's like, oh, your first time should be special and tender, and it should be with me. That's awfully bold of you. Tookie pulled away from him. I'm just getting to know you, and you're claiming my first time already? Yes, Tookie, your first time, your first kiss. And this is what goes on in Tookie's brain. Oh God, I promised myself to Theophilus. Have you no loyalty, Tookie? This level of delusion? I would just like to remind you, she has spoken to Theophilus twice. They didn't even speak. He said a couple words to her and she was like, and then ran away. And she's like, I can't kiss this man who's showing interest in me. I'm in love with someone else. She is me. We are the same person. I am Tookie de la Creme. I stand with her. I support her. She gets me. She sees me. This is why representation is so important. So Theophilus is like, I want to take your lip virginity, which is literally a line from the book. I can't wait to lose my lip virginity to you. Ooh, what the fuck? Ooh, what the fuck, Tyra Banks? What were you thinking, queen? Tookie is just about to tell Bravo that she is going to run away when CL comes in and she's like, what is a boy doing in here? Get him out. It's the next day. It is Man Attack time. I'm still a little confused about Man Attack because this may be a shock to you, but nothing in this book is explained very clearly, and so I spent a lot of it quite lost. It is my understanding that Man Attack, it's like a competition between the Bellas and the Bestosteros, and so it's 3 Bellas versus 3 Bestosteros, but also everyone is competing against each other. So whoever gets the most points wins, but then also whichever team gets the most point also wins. And there's 3 challenges. Challenge 1 is touching, challenge 2 is dressing, and challenge 3 is makeup. Tookie was chosen to be one of the Bellas competing. So was Zarpessa, and then also a girl called Chaste. She's not really important, so we're not going to talk about her. Tookie is supposed to go against Bravo, and they are doing their round last. Bravo comes into the girls' side, and he's like, hey, Tookie, can I talk to you? And she's like, yeah, sure. Hey, Bravo, me and my best friends, we're escaping today, so unfortunately, I can't kiss you. And he's really upset. He's like, you weren't going to tell me? If I hadn't just come here before the competition, you wouldn't have said anything? And she's like, yeah. So he gets mad, and he says, well, Tookie, I'll tell you a little secret, too. You and me kissing, it was nothing but a bet with my boys. I made a bet with Webb and Alex that I could get a funny-looking girl to fall in love with me. The pretty ones, they're easy, but the weird-looking ones, they're the ultimate challenge. Which is, I'm pretty sure, just the plot of She's All That, right? Like, I'm pretty sure that line is directly ripped from She's All That. I should watch She's All That tonight. Tookie is crushed. She's devastated. She's like, whoa, I thought someone actually liked me for me, but it was just a bet. I see right through his bullshit. There is no way that's true. He was just offended. He was just sad. He was just like, he was feeling a little butthurt, so he was like, I'm gonna hurt her feelings, because that is such a boy thing to do. One thing about a boy, he will lash out when he is upset. That is so boy. That is not girl. Girl will lash lash in, boy will lash out. I think I'm going crazy. Yep, I've lost it. I've lost it. I'm crazy. Anyway, Zarpessa went and she did a good job. Then it's Tookie and Bravo's turn. Tookie's not doing too well. She's kind of doing really badly. Bravo is like, come on, Tookie, like, girl, get it together. Like, I want you to win. And she's like, you don't want me to win. You just like me for a bet. You hate me. You just wanted me to kiss you because you made a bet with your boys. And he's like, no, like, I lied. I want you to win. They're in the middle of this competition. And Tookie is like describing her perfect kiss. And she's like, my perfect kiss, Bravo, it's not gonna be with you. It's gonna be under the sunset near a garden. Then he will open his shirt like a superhero, and on his chest will be written, Tookie, you are the most amazing girls I have ever laid eyes on, and I can't decide which I love more, your green eye or your brown eye. And then he'll have to touch my face gently with both hands, and he'll kiss my forehead, both of my cheeks, and then my nose. And then he'll spray whipped cream straight into my mouth, and then his, and then he'll part his mouth just a little and press his lips against mine. Which, like, they're in the middle of a competition, and the entire school is watching them. I want you to be honest with me, girl. Is this a good use of your time? Because I'm thinking no. The last man attack round happens. Basically, there's like these orbs. So like orbs get thrown. Orbs get thrown at them, and inside the orbs is makeup. But inside the red orbs is makeup for the girls, and inside the blue orbs is mandation. What's it called? Mandation? Man makeup and body oil and shit. The goal is the girls are supposed to take the red makeup and put it on and throw the other one to the boys, and then it will explode on them. Tookie's like doing really badly, and then out of one of the girl makeup orbs, there's a bug. Out of one of the girl makeup orbs, a smize comes out. She starts really slaying because she has the power of the smize on her side. And Tookie wins 106 points. So not only does she win against Bravo, but she wins the whole competition. And right as she wins, the lights shut out. And it is time for the Unikas to make their escape. The name Unika, it really reminds me of, I don't know if you watch the Backyardigans, but like, you know, the little pink girly pop, Uniqua? That's what I was thinking every time I read Unika. Fun fact about me, a little bit of personal lore if you want it. I went to see the Backyardigans live in concert when I was younger. I so distinctly remember I was such a big fan of Tasha. Tasha is the it girl, and I don't need your opinions right now because Tasha was so gorgeous, and I wanted her so bad. But we got there a little late, and all the Tasha stuffed animals were sold out, and so I had to get a Uniqua stuffed animal. Are you joking? What even is Uniqua, an alien? Stop it. Anyway, time for the Unikas to make their escape. They all meet down by the Zip Zap. They go down the Zip Zap. Then there's a fork in the road of the Zip Zap. They're like, should we go left or should we go right? They choose right. They go down right. They end up in the Diabolical Divide. And they're like, oh shit, we're in the Diabolical Divide right now. So they decide to turn around and go back up the Zip Zap and then go left instead, which I didn't know was an option. Sorry, that made the stakes way lower. I thought that like if you chose wrong, you died, but turns out if you chose wrong, you could just go back and choose again. They go back up the Zip Zap and they go down the left side. They end up in the Ladorno Plaza. And then CL shows up. And remember, they think she wants to kill them. And so they're like, oh shit, we gotta run. So they're running away from CL. And CL has all of the powers because she's the 777. So she like divides herself into three and she's like cornering them. And then they get on a public bus. And then they see Lizzie. Lizzie and Tookie, they have like a heart to heart. Tookie's like, I didn't want to leave you. Like, I really wanted to do our escape. Lizzie's like, yeah, no, like, I understand that you had to do what you gotta do. Like, I forgive you. And then Lizzie kills herself in front of them. This is another instance of like, oh, this book is like kind of fun. We're having a good time. And then it's so not fun anymore. CL finally catches up with Tookie and the Unikas. She sort of like explains herself a little bit. So she went up to MODELLAND and she became the 777. And then she graduated and she came back down to Metopia and she had these three friends. One friend was like tall and albino and one friend was like short and chubby. And then the other friend was like literally 4'7". She was like, we're gonna change the beauty standards. Like you guys are as beautiful as I am. Like, you know, everyone's beautiful. And so these three friends decide, and my camera's dying. Ooh, shit. I think we can power through. These friends decide to take a trek up the mountain and they die. CL is like, I killed them. But she didn't kill them in like a I murdered you kind of way. She killed them in a like, I gave you bad advice and it ended up in your death kind of way. So more like, of like a metaphor. So she's not like a murderer. It's more like metaphorical, you know? Okay, so I took a break and then I had dinner and then I called my mom. So I don't really remember where we left off. CL killed her friends, but like not in a like, I killed you kind of way, more in a like, some information that I said to you led to your death kind of way. She went up the mountain, she found her friends' bodies, she buried them at the base of the mountain, and she made these obelisks in honor of them. So if you remember, there's one tall, pale one in honor of her albino bestie, and then there's like a short, fat one in honor of her short and fat bestie. And then there's one that's like really, really short in honor of her 4'7" best friend. That's where the obelisks came from. CL gives a rousing speech about how we can change the beauty standards from the inside. The group of 4 head up back to Model Land. And you would think, the book's almost over, right? Wrong. There's still about 100 pages left. The Unikas get back to Model Land just in time for the 7-7 tournament, and they're about to walk into the 7-7 stadium when guess who shows the fuck up? Creamy and Miracle. They made it to Model Land, and they climb over the wall, and they're like, we're here, bring us to the Belladonna, please. CL is like, the Belladonna doesn't see anybody. You can't just come here and demand to see the Belladonna. But then the Belladonna is like, yeah, sure, come into the M. Turns out, Creamy and the Belladonna know each other. And they used to be best friends. And the reason why Tookie got picked during the Day of Discovery is because the Belladonna switched Miracle's name out for Tookie because she knew how crazy Creamy is. And she knew that Creamy would climb up the mountain. And the Belladonna thought that Creamy would die of the Pilgrim Plague. What the Belladonna didn't take into consideration is that Creamy is fucking crazy and that she would do anything for Miracle to be a 7-7. So the Pilgrim Plague didn't kill her. In fact, she made it. I don't remember how, but Creamy and the Belladonna and Miracle and Persimmon, who is the Belladonna's personal assistant, all end up in the flashback female's little room. Tookie is like, I deserve to know what's going on between you. I deserve to know your history. And the Belladonna's like, no, the fuck you don't. You don't get to hear anything about us. And Creamy is like, well, because you think that she shouldn't, I think that she should, because Creamy is like the opposite of everything that Belladonna is ever. Creamy steps into where the flashback females are. I read this bit literally yesterday, so I feel like I should be able to remember it. Creamy and Belladonna were best friends, and right before their 7-7 tournament, the Belladonna gave birth to a baby. In Model Land, it is very strictly forbidden to have any sort of romantic relationships, but especially it is forbidden to have a relationship with a mortal guy. Like, you can have a relationship with a testosterone, that's not gonna like really break the rules. You absolutely are forbidden from having a romantic relationship with just some guy. But the Belladonna had a relationship with just a rando, and she had a baby out of it, and she didn't even know she was pregnant. They don't get their periods anymore, but they're also still able to have children. So she gives birth to this baby. The Queen Belladonna, which is Belladonna's mom, is like, we're going to give the baby to the baby's dad, and they're going to leave, and you're never going to see them again. And you're going to continue your 7-7 training, you're going to do the 7-7 tournament, and you're going to become the Belladonna. Belladonna's like, no, I have to see my baby. So her and Creamy jump over the wall, and they go back down to Metopia. And the Belladonna is like, don't worry, Creamy, I'll reverse the effects of this because I'm the Belladonna princess. Like, I have that power to ask for us to get our aging reversed. And Creamy's like, okay, sure. So they go together. They both age. They look crazy, right? Crazy old person face, young person body. Oh, also, the father of, sorry, not to backtrack, the father of the baby is Wingtip, the crazy homeless guy from the beginning. They go to Wingtip's house. The Belladonna is like, I'm gonna go grab some formula for the baby. And Creamy is in there, and she's like kind of jealous of the Belladonna. And so she goes after Wingtip, and she like starts kissing him, unbuttoning his shirt, and she's like on top of him. And then she flips him over so he's on top of her right when the Belladonna comes in. And she drops the bag of milk she's holding, and she runs away. And Wingtip is like, no, stop. Like, it's not what you think. And Belladonna's like, you're cheating on me with my best friend? I can't even imagine what it's like when I'm up in Model Land. And she's like, it's over. The Belladonna runs back up to Model Land. Creamy goes with her. Then the Queen Belladonna is like, you betrayed me and you fell in love with a mortal boy, and you have two options. Option number one, you can go back down with the love of your life and your child, and you can live happily ever after, but you can never come back to Model Land, and you can never see me, your mother, ever again. And Belladonna's like, well, he cheated on me, so don't really want to do that. And the belladonna's like, okay, option number 2. You can come back to MODELLAND. I'll reverse your aging, and you'll become the next Queen Belladonna. You'll live happily ever after up here, and you'll be an Intoxibella, and you'll have a great life. The belladonna's like, I want that option. That's clearly the better option. The Queen Belladonna's like, just 1 second though. You can never see your baby ever again. The belladonna's like, I guess I have to. You gotta do what you gotta do, right? Creamy is like, okay, can you also reverse my aging, please? And the Queen Belladonna is like, no, obviously not. You betrayed my daughter? And Creamy is like, you know what, Belladonna? Actually, your boyfriend didn't cheat on you. I jumped him. I assaulted him. You thought that he cheated on you. It wasn't him, it was me. Why would you admit that? Well, I've recently learned that sometimes people admit to batshit wild, crazy things because they don't think it's that bad. Belladonna is like, oh, I just made the worst decision of my life. And she asks the Queen Belladonna, she's like, please, can I pick the first option? Can I be with my boyfriend who was faithful to me, apparently, and my child? And the Queen Belladonna's like, no, you already picked. Creamy gets kicked out of MODELLAND. And the baby was CL. And so CL is standing here watching the flashback females show this horrendous, awful memory. And she's like, my mother abandoned me. She gave me up willingly. That's really shitty. So the Belladonna and Creamy get into a bit of an argument, and they get into a little bit of a fight. And the Belladonna is wearing a dress with some spikes in it. And one of the spikes impales Creamy. And I think it kills her. It's absolutely crazy that Creamy survives the entire trek up the mountain, only to get killed by a dress. Oh, rest in peace, Creamy. You were crazy, but at least you believed in something. So all this is happening while everyone is waiting for the 7-7 competition to start. Now it's been delayed because it can't start without the Belladonna. So, okay, I didn't explain this already, but there is, so the Queen Belladonna, which is Belladonna, then there's also, it's called the board, spelled Bored instead of Borad because they're always looking really bored, like the people in the front row of a fashion show. Anyway, the head of the board, his name is Nars. Oh my god. Like NARS, like the makeup brand. That's insane. Whoa, Tyra Banks is playing 4D chess with that one. That was crazy. He comes up and he's like, where's the Belladonna? So he goes to where this whole brawl has taken place, and he sees that the Belladonna has killed a person, and he's like, you're going to jail, basically is what he says. And he also announces that they're going to postpone the 7-7 competition indefinitely, and that MODELLAND will be shutting down. And so everyone is literally freaking out. Factories are shutting down, rioting. It's people are burning things and looting and throwing stuff, all because MODELLAND shut down. They're we have nothing left to live for. Since CL is Belladonna's kid, that makes her the Belladonna heir. So she's going to be the next Queen Belladonna. But they decided that they weren't going to tell the general public yet. They had to still decide when was the best time. Tookie goes and has her first kiss with Bravo. On his friend's chest, he wrote, Tookie, I'm so sorry, it was never a bet. He wrote it in paint. He squirts whipped cream in his mouth, and he squirts whipped cream in her mouth, and then they kiss. If I had to read this, you have to read this too. And then Bravo kissed her forehead, and then her cheeks, and then her nose. He sucked on her earlobe, sending a jolt of warmth all over her body. Does Tyra Banks hate me personally? Did she decide to write a line that would make me want to literally claw my eyes out? Anyway, that's kind of where the book ends. It ends with CL telling Tookie about how difficult it is to be a second-year Bella, but how they're going to change the world. They're going to change beauty standards from the inside out. Because I'm pretty sure this book was intended to be a trilogy. It's not a trilogy. Thank God for that. I don't think I could survive another 2 books about this, but I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be 1 book per year of MODELLAND. And then the book ends. Now, before we get into the final thoughts, I would like to quickly talk about the acknowledgements of this book because, first of all, they are so fucking long. Literally 6 pages of acknowledgements, which is great. I love to see who an author thinks was important enough to think in their book, and then I always like to think ooh, who would I think if I wrote a book? Ms. Tyra Banks spends the first 3.5 pages talking about all the places that she wrote MODELLAND in, including but not limited to Greece, the Crosby Street Hotel restaurant, the cafe at the Guggenheim Museum, Harvard, Columbia University. She's thinking all these places. She even thinks Cinemagic XM satellite radio. How do you know the exact score I need to hear when I'm writing a particular passage? At the very end of the 3rd page, again, halfway through the acknowledgements, she finally thanks the ghostwriter. And that brings me to the most perplexing part of this book, which is there was a ghostwriter. Okay, let's talk about celebrity books for a second. Celebrity books are often written or co-written with a ghostwriter, and I think that is fine as long as they are pretty open and honest about that, which MODELLAND was. It was like the first line of the Wikipedia page. I find it perplexing and baffling that like a professional writer would write any part of this. Okay, final thoughts. This book is bad. It is impressively bad. You can't turn away. It's like a car crash. I don't think that this book was meant to be read. Listen, not to like ascribe meaning to something that has very little meaning, but I think that there is a lot that is quite harmful in this book. I got my copy secondhand. I get most of my books secondhand. It was highlighted and marked up. Based on the bits that were highlighted and marked up, I have to assume it belonged to like a young girl who it seemed like she was going through something. Like she was highlighting the most devastating passages. And it makes me a little sad because it really reinforces a lot of really negative beliefs about women. How being old is the worst thing you can be, and being fat or being chubby is the worst thing you can be. And it pretends to try to tackle some of those subjects, but it doesn't. The handling of mental health in this book is abysmal. It's atrocious, genuinely upsetting. Like, I try not to read books with that sort of subject matter in it just because it's not personally something that I enjoy reading about. I read for fun. I read for escapism. I mean, for the most part, it was funny and hilarious and just like stupid. This is a bad book in the true sense of the word, and I would be hard pressed to find someone who read this and genuinely thought it was like worth their time. We all know that I am infamously inconsistent, and I would like to thank you for your patience with me because I have been in school for my entire life. But now that I'm done with school and now that I have just like buckets of free time, consistent shitty book club videos. What? Consistency in my shitty book club? I could never. As always, I have an Instagram, I have a Goodreads. Follow me if you want to see what I'm reading and see what's going on between videos. There is a suggestion box down below for if you want to request your favorite shitty book. I think that's everything. Bye. Bye-bye. I have to stop. I've been doing this recently, being like, bye. I started doing it because I was holding something in my hand and then I would like have to wave to someone, so I'd be like, bye. But now I'm just like, goodbye. It feels a little rude. Anyway, bye. Love you. Miss you. Proud of you. Bye.